Welcome to the free course on how to start a faceless YouTube channel without making videos. But first, why should you try YouTube when there are so many things you could do? You see, most businesses are actually harder than you think. They require money to start, you have to manage a team, you need experience, or it's just outright luck. But YouTube, on the other hand, is a little boring, but has a low startup cost or even free, and requires no skills, it's all learnable, and no massive team or investment, and really no risk in case things go south. It also compounds over time as your channel grows and videos keep generating views on your channel. Unlike other businesses where you trade your time, you're actually building an asset. So just a quick word about myself. Over the past 7 years, I've been running faceless and personal channels, and I failed many times when I first started. I don't want to sell you a dream that it, magically happened overnight. But today it's allowed me to go from a regular 9 to 5 to being my own boss, being able to do things like traveling the world at a young age, all through YouTube, doing things that I would have never been able to do otherwise. My full story is in the description. But if freedom, flexibility, and a high potential upside is what you're probably looking for, YouTube might be worth considering. Now, faceless channels take it one step further. You don't have to go on camera, you don't need to build a studio, buy equipment, any of it. You run it completely faceless, relying on systems rather than you as a person, which means it's anonymous, it's free to start, and it's also easier to outsource and automate faceless channels compared to a regular channel where you as the person becomes the bottleneck because you have to appear in every video. And that's not the case here at all. And once you have a channel, you can monetize it in many different ways. Starting with the YouTube Partner Program, where you can apply once you reach 1,000 subscribers on your channel and 4,000 hours of watch time. And once you're accepted to the YouTube Partner Program, they're going to basically pay you for every view on your channel. But we're going to talk about something much better, how to monetize your channel on day one the smart way. But first, we're going to start with choosing a niche and choosing a good niche because that will make or break your channel. So what's a niche? Well, a niche is the topic you make your videos around. Let's say basketball or cars. That is going to be your niche on YouTube. And people tend to ask me, Lucas, how do I find a low competition niche on YouTube? But that's not really the right question because we actually want competition. Look, the biggest issue is a niche or a topic that nobody cares about. Those niches are useless, you're never going to get any views. On the other hand, a popular niche with lots of different channels and views proves that there's a large audience interested in the topic. And all we have to do is find a unique angle within that big space to stand out and go viral in that specific niche. Sounds crazy, how could we possibly fight these big channels? But I'll demonstrate how this works with a real life example. So channel 1 is called Primate Economics and has hundreds of thousands of subs, and it's 100% faceless. They've gone viral starting from nothing, from scratch, in a very competitive old niche. Nothing new. It's personal finance and economics. That's really not new. It's been around for decades. Finance, economics, but they added something unique. They started throwing in humor, memes, and they made economics fun. And whoops, they found their own unique angle, letting them make very basic YouTube videos, simple animations, without going on camera, without showing their face, and becoming one of the biggest channels in the entire niche with less than 30 videos, which is absolutely crazy. And this is also an incredibly high RPM niche, which we'll talk about later as well. And again, this content is simple, we have tools, we have AI that can create these videos, so competition is good. Just find a unique angle, and I call it niche mixing, where you mix two niches together, and it works across so many different spaces. But now the thing to consider, of course, is going to be RPM. And RPM stands for revenue per mil, and it's how much your channel generates per 1,000 views, which is very important because you want to think about these things ahead of time. And the critical lesson here is that not all niches are equal when it comes to views and money. And let's say that I'm starting a channel in either football or in finance. Which one do you think is going to pay more from the advertisers? Definitely football. Well, maybe with the World Cup it's going to be a little bit boosted, but obviously I'm kidding. It is clearly going to be finance. And the RPM of high RPM niches can be 2, 3, 5, or even 10 times higher in very valuable niches for basically getting the same number of views in a different niche. Meaning that you should absolutely consider the RPM of a niche before you start your channel, because that is directly going to dictate how much you're going to earn from your views. So plus a little bonus tip for you, because who doesn't like bonus tips, right? High RPM niches are also better for sponsors, selling products, affiliates, and other forms of monetizing your YouTube channel, which sounds a bit weird, but it's actually not only for YouTube's partner program where RPM is important, because it's a very good indicator of how valuable your niche is overall as a whole. The higher the RPM, the more valuable the audience is and the more valuable the niche is in every way. Now next, we need to start making videos. So how do we actually find winning ideas? The easy way. I want to show you exactly how I find viral and profitable ideas for faceless YouTube channels and my exact proven outlier method step by step. So let's begin. And there are 3 different steps. Step 1 is to pick a niche, obviously. And I like to follow the HWR framework because this framework lets you basically pick a very high value niche that you can monetize and build a long-term sustainable and profitable channel in. And now you're thinking, what is HWR? Well, it's actually really simple. It stands for health, wealth, and relationships. And so these 3 things, health, let's start with that, is obviously videos to be more healthy, whether it's fitness or going to the doctor, if you can make videos about that. And wealth is anything to do with finances, and relationships, I mean anything to do with people and, well, relationships. And these are like niche categories, and they are really, really solid because they're stable, evergreen, and very highly monetizable, meaning that there are good sponsors in these niches, high-paying affiliates, and opportunities to sell different products. But they're not the only niches. You could absolutely start a channel outside of HWR. I just find it the easiest way to start a channel nowadays and actually focus on monetizing rather than chasing views. But there's no right or wrong here. Now let's dig a little bit deeper into how we find viral videos step by step, because no matter the niche, we have to get some views, right? So first it's gonna be step 1, which is find outliers. And there are a bunch of paid AI tools that you can use, but now I'm gonna focus on a simple free strategy. So it's going to be available to literally everybody to find faceless YouTube niches. And to do this, I recommend setting up a new YouTube account separate from your existing one that you're using at the moment, where everything's brand new and fresh. Your YouTube algorithm is trained specifically for you, and it's feeding you the videos that you like, either subconsciously or that you're aware of. But we're looking to basically explore beyond your own algorithm and find whatever faceless content is popping off right now. So that is why we create a new YouTube account starting over from scratch. And now stop. Don't watch anything. Don't even subscribe to my channel on it. And only click and watch faceless content. Subscribe to every faceless channel that you see, and within a few minutes, your entire algorithm, your entire homepage is going to be mainly faceless content. Having this optimized channel makes research so much easier because we can find faceless videos and channels rather than having our homepage cluttered by influencers or news or all sorts of things. And so again, there are a lot of great AI tools which I can talk about in another video, but usually they're going to be paid. And so this method is completely free, and you can just go through and manually find outliers, videos that did exceptionally well on other channels that we can take inspiration from. And the reason why we want to find outliers is that these concepts are already proven, meaning that they work on YouTube and people like to watch that type of content. There's really no reason to reinvent the wheel, at least like when you're starting and looking for quick results. So then what I do is I create variations of those outliers that we found. I don't copy, I don't do any of that, but I model it. Things like title, topic, the niche. I take inspiration from what already works and what's already viral on YouTube, because it's usually viral for a reason. And then I bring it over to my own channel, and there are a whole bunch of ways that you can do this and basically find proven viral ideas. But what I like to personally do is I like to find videos in other niches that are going viral and then kind of bring that idea and concept over to my own niche with the same format I know already worked, but my own video niche, if you see what I mean. This is extremely effective because you're able to basically take something that works, but throw it into your own niche and make it unique and a new video for you. But whatever you do, remember this: You don't want to copy, but understand the pattern recognition. And if something already worked on YouTube, chances are a similar thing is going to work again. So take inspiration from videos that did go viral and add your own little twist to it. And it's actually pretty easy. But now let's take a step back from the niche and actually look at generating and producing faceless videos, because it's way easier than you might think. So how do you create good videos that get views? Good videos, but without a big budget, skills, or prior experience. And this is the exact step-by-step strategy that I recommend. And there are 4 different steps to it. Number 1 is the script, the actual text of the video. There's going to be voice, the voice behind the video. There's going to be some footage, which is the thing you're actually watching. And there's going to be packaging, which is going to be like the thumbnail and title and all that stuff. And so it's pretty simple, and we're going to dig deeper into each step one at a time right now. Starting with script. Now, this used to be by far the most painful part of a video, writing a very long script, especially for like entertainment channels with like 30 minutes, 1 hour content. But have you heard about this new thing called AI? Maybe. AI can lift a ton of the burden from you. You don't need to hire a scriptwriter. You don't need to write long scripts by hand, because AI can actually research, write, and polish scripts for you. But wait a second, hold your horses. It's not going to be the magic people say it is, and you still need to know how to write good scripts and how they work and do some of the editing yourself. So it's not perfect by any means, and some people try to sell you that dream, but it is extremely, extremely helpful and can speed up the process by like 10, 20 times what it used to take. So it's still way easier to get scripts done than before, and you can make some really high quality scripts at basically no cost and without being a writer yourself. So it pretty much cuts out that barrier entirely. Now let's talk about voice, your spoken audio, because since you're not going to be on camera, you need a voice recording, somebody who reads or speaks out the script out loud. So you have 3 different options, and the first one is to record it yourself. You can also hire somebody, pay them a little bit, or what I recommend is use AI here as well for the voice. Now, you have to be careful. You want to avoid some of the generic AI voices that are very common and being flagged by YouTube because everybody's using them. But in general, AI voices are incredibly powerful, legit, they are allowed, and incredibly cheap to generate. It literally costs like $1 and takes 30 seconds to turn your entire script into a voice. And so don't worry, as long as your video is authentic and it's not some AI slop, you will be fine if you avoid the generic AI voices. But now, after voice and after script, let's talk about footage. How do you actually create the video itself? And here's where I recommend that you hire an editor. I don't recommend editing yourself unless you have some experience, because it's a skill and takes time to develop. So what about the cost? And I completely understand you're concerned about the expenses, but depending on your video type and your niche, you can start low. Others are a little bit more expensive because it's harder to create those videos and longer videos, but you don't need to start there. What I recommend you do is you start with a content style that is easy to create, and then you reinvest your earnings into more videos, which basically produce more and more videos with the same earnings. Now, AI can also help you depending on the niche. There are some extremely powerful new tools, softwares, and video generators depending on the niche. And there are definitely niches where you can just rely on those alone and you can make AI content and that can go viral and be a big thing. That's totally viable. Depends on the niche. And the models are changing so quickly, so there's no point in me recommending a specific model, but I will leave some links in the description if you want that. All right, so now we're done with the editing. Let's talk about packaging. This is where you create your thumbnails. And here, again, when it comes to thumbnails, people are always worried, do I need to be a designer? Do I need to have a huge budget? No. Here, again, I recommend using a mix of AI and design features, or sort of like design tools. And you don't need to be an expert designer, you just need to understand the psychology of what makes people click. AI can now generate incredible thumbnails, faceless, and you can polish them up in something like Canva, which is what I do. I basically use different AI tools and features, and I then throw it into Canva and I make the final edits there, add some text, make it look nice, completely for free, and it's super quick, and you'll have your thumbnails ready in a few minutes with basically non-existent budget, and you do this incredibly quickly. You don't need to sit and draw the thing. You don't need to hire somebody. It's so much faster than it's ever been before when it comes to thumbnails, to be honest. But again, you do need to understand how thumbnails actually work, and it's not just about looking good. There's definitely a system behind how thumbnails work and how all the YouTubers use them and how they work, basically. So now moving on to the fun part, which is going to be monetization. How do we actually turn our views into something more than just views. Because if we wanted to become famous, we would have just gone on reality TV, right, and said something stupid, not started a faceless YouTube channel. So, my friend, this is what we do to monetize our faceless channels. Of course, your channel has ads on YouTube, that's great, but it takes a while to get monetized. I've personally seen channels get monetized in about a week, but in most cases, don't expect that. It takes a little bit longer to meet all the requirements and get accepted and start getting monetized. So how do you monetize and actually do something on day one without having to wait for that? The secret is to stop thinking about the YouTube Partner Program exclusively and start thinking about something that I call true RPM. Now, we spoke about RPM, which is what you make per 1,000 views from YouTube, but true RPM includes every other source related to your YouTube channel. So your channel can sell digital products, sponsorships, or be an affiliate for brands and actually start these on autopilot on day one. And what I personally recommend people do is start with something called high ticket affiliate offers, which means that you don't need to sell anything, you don't need to build a company, you don't need to have a product, you just make your videos as usual. You put a few links in there to something relevant, that's a high ticket affiliate product, and you have other companies pay you for the link. And if you do it right, it can be extremely powerful. And I mean, if you do it wrong, it's not going to be that great. And so later, you get monetized and you introduce more things and sponsorships and products and all that good stuff. But you start simple and you focus on creating videos and having one monetization source without being overwhelmed and while still monetizing on day one. I would also say that monetizing early is very good because you start to get more motivated once you see that first paycheck come in. So I highly recommend doing so. Now, what's the next step? Well, it's to get started. And the biggest mistake, and the mistake that I've made, is people wait too long. So you have two different options now. Option one is you do it alone. You go through the trial and error that I did. It sucks, it's slow, but eventually it should work out. And that is option one. Nothing wrong with it. I wish you all the best. But option two is you get helped by somebody who's done it, which helps you avoid mistakes and get it right the first time a little bit quicker. And if that sounds like something for you, check the link down in the description for my free entire YouTube training. We go through the whole strategy step by step in detail to help you get started with your faceless channel. And there's also a chance to work with me personally in the training, but watch the full training and see for yourself. Again, it's free, so why not? Thanks for watching and good luck with YouTube.